If you've heard of a database machine called Exadata, you might have heard of a feature it has called a flash cache. This is not the Exadata flash cache. This is a feature available to Oracle running on the Solaris platform or Enterprise Linux. So this is a feature that's available not on the Exadata machine, on regular Oracle, but only on the Solaris and Enterprise Linux platforms right now. And what this flash cache does is allows us to use very inexpensive, cheap solid-state disks as a secondary SGA, a secondary shared global area. We can use this to extend, effectively, the size of our database buffer cache to these solid-state devices. Solid-state devices are really good for read speeds. They're fast to read from. They're not so good for write speeds. They're not as fast at writing as you might think they are. And the inexpensive ones we're talking about using here are very unreliable. They don't last forever. They have a very high failure rate because the memory that backs them can only be written to so many times before they stop working. So we don't want to store our data files on these cheap disks, but we'd like to be able to use them to speed up our database operations. And the way this would work is you install the solid-state disks, you set up the flash cache. I now have a buffer cache that's measured in tens of gigabytes. I have a database that's typically measured in hundreds or thousands of gigabytes. And I can have this flash cache area that's going to be measured in hundreds of gigabytes as well. I start up my database, and somebody issues a query. The blocks are not in the buffer cache yet, so we have to read them in, and they go in the buffer cache. So far, no different. At some point, the buffer cache runs out of space, and we need to get that block from the SGA onto disk. So the database block writer would write it out to disk. With the flash cache, database block writer will also write it out to the solid-state disk. And in the buffer cache, it will leave a very small pointer saying if you ever need this block again, you could get it from disk, but you could also get it from the flash cache. You don't have to go to the spinning magnetic disk to get this. You could go off to the solid-state device. So DB Writer is going to do a parallel write and put it into both locations, and in the buffer cache, with a very small pointer, remember where it is. The next time we need that block, we're going to read it back out of the flash cache into the SGA. Now, if the SGA was approximately 100 times faster than disk, which in most cases it can be, it's a 2 orders magnitude faster than getting it off of disk. The flash cache won't be as fast as the SGA, but it's going to be some 40 to 50 times faster than getting it from disk. So we would still prefer to get it from the SGA. So still make your SGA nice and generous, big, but use this flash cache and you're going to offset the slowness of disks over time. If I was to shut down and restart my database, I would lose the contents of my flash cache because I would lose all those small pointers in my SGA. So the longer my database is running, the faster my database will become using this new flash cache technique. And again, this is available on Solaris and Enterprise Linux. The next one is some improvements to parallel query. Parallel query was invented with version 7.16 of